Hi, everyone. I've always had a fascination with the struggles and the development of the church over many, many centuries. As you look through church history, you see all sorts of problems come, difficulties and challenges, but all of that has been sort of driven, if you want, at the cost of many lives. Oftentimes, those who gave their lives in martyrdom for the sake of the gospel. It was Savonarola, I believe, who said that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, meaning that's what's going to build the church. That's what's going to establish the church that Jesus Christ is building and developing. It's going to be a cost, a tax, and it's going to be a very heavy cost because it is going to be lives of people. We read too in Luke chapter 9, verse 23, that we're all invited, all who believe in Jesus, into this life where you could be a martyr, not your choice, but it could be that the Lord wants that of you. And he tells us to take up our cross every day and to follow after Jesus Christ. Two people who did that have fascinated me for a long time. They were well-known missionaries, John and Betty Stam, way back in the 1930s. I want to read this account to you from Fox's Book of Martyrs. It's really an enlightening account. It's a challenging account, and it just encourages me and challenges me, because where's this next generation of those who are being raised up to believe these things, be willing to give their lives in this way, if called to do so, horrible and difficult as that may be, but we know that could be part of God's plan. So here's two people who gave their lives for the sake of the gospel. Listen to their story. Betty held the baby in her arms, singing softly to this infant child, all too aware that this was their last night together. Her husband, John, tied to a bedpost, could not sleep either. Only 2 weeks ago, they had arrived at their mission station with 3-month-old Helen Priscilla, filled with hope, eager for ministry. But on this winter night, their quiet lullabies were parting sorrows, for tomorrow they would die. Betty Scott, the daughter of Presbyterian missionaries to China, graduated from Moody Bible Institute in 1931. She had already accepted the call of God to service with the China Inland Mission. And the bond that she felt with John, whom she had met at a prayer meeting for China, and their mutual decision to serve Christ in the middle of a dangerous civil war, could not and did not hold her back. When she was assigned to a mission station in the interior, she left for China. She wrote, "When we consecrate ourselves to God, we think we're making a great sacrifice and doing lots for him, when really we're only letting go some little bitsy trinkets we have been grabbing, and when our hands are empty, he fills them with his treasures." What an encouraging and challenging thought and statement. John Stam finished his training at Moody Bible Institute in 1932. He gave the graduating class address that year, urging, "Dare we advance at God's command in the face of the impossible? Yes, we must," he claimed. In the fall, he sailed for Shanghai, accepting an assignment too dangerous for a family. So he arrived to discover that the communists were gaining ground, missionaries were on the move, and his beloved Betty, to his great surprise, was in Shanghai recuperating from illness. They were soon married, and in September 1934, their daughter, Helen Priscilla, was born. The young family moved to Anhui province near the town of Qingtai. The local leader assured their safety. So it was a surprise to everyone when the town magistrate appeared at the missionary's door only 3 months later to warn them of the approach of communist troops. But it was too late. Before John, Betty, and baby Helen could get out, the troops got in. John was taken first, bound and pleading for the safety of his wife and child. Soon the troops returned for them. That night in jail, the baby cried. When guards threatened to kill her, an older Chinese man, also a prisoner, intervened. Guards asked if he were so bold as to die for the foreign baby. He assented. The man was hacked to death on the spot. That night, John was ordered to write to mission leaders demanding a 20,000 US ransom. He concluded the note fully aware that ransoms were never paid. "The Lord bless and guide you," he concluded. "As for us, may God be glorified, whether by life or by death." The next day, soldiers marched the Stams to a nearby town, where they were placed in the office of the local postmaster, who asked where they were going. And by this time, John must have known the soldiers' intentions, for he replied, "I don't know where they're going, but we are going to heaven." The next morning, John and Betty were led to their execution. A local Christian doctor approached the soldiers to plead mercy for the missionaries. He was threatened, and John then pleaded for the doctor. The communist leader had heard enough. He ordered John to kneel, and with the flash of a sword, decapitated the young missionary. Betty fell on her husband's body, and the sword fell again. What then happened to baby Helen? The Chinese evangelist, Dr. Low, found her wrapped in a sleeping bag with a change of clothes, a money pin to her diaper. Betty, during her sleepless last night, had done her best to comfort and care for the child that she knew she was leaving behind. Low concealed the child in a rice basket and eventually brought Helen to her grandparents, still serving in China. Helen became a teacher and raised a family in the eastern United States. She chose a private life, no interviews or public statements. What happened to the church in China? In response to news of the Stam's death, several hundred new missionary recruits volunteered for service. Do you see what can happen? The Chinese church went underground for many years. Today it is emerging stronger than anyone expected, stronger than Mao's forces, whose day has already passed. That's a challenging word and a challenging thought. And when you consider that 700 new missionary recruits step up and say, I'm willing to go, that excites me about what God's doing in his world, what God's doing in his church and through his church, and what God may do through you. If you're challenged to step out into such a world, then be prepared and do it for him, because we believe and we're convinced that he alone is worthy and worth it all. Be blessed, have a great week, and keep pressing on as you live for Jesus, irrespective of whatever comes across your path. Thanks for listening. Catch you next week.